Last Sunday, the New York Giants took a 3-1 record along with their soaring confidence on the road to Los Angeles for a Week 5 game against the Rams. Whether or not it was the bright California sun that kept A.J. Jones, number 24, from catching the opening kickoff, no one knows. But when he failed to fall on the live football, it was obvious the hot sun had succeeded in frying his brain. Phil McConkey recovered the ball in the end zone for a touchdown. However, New York's failure to make the extra point proved to be an omen of what was in store for the Giants' kicking game. Number 80, Henry Ellard, gave Jones a lesson on how to field a kick and then what to do with it once it's firmly in your grasp. Ellard's 83-yard return put the Rams on top, 14-6. For Giant punter Dave Jennings, one of the best in the league, the touchdown was embarrassing. Unfortunately for Jennings, embarrassment eventually was to take a back seat to total humiliation. Number 37, Ivory Sully, blocked a punt that went out of the end zone for a safety. Safeties are a relatively rare occurrence in an NFL game. But in this case, the Rams were just getting started. Minutes after a sack in the end zone gave Los Angeles its second two-point play. The Giants, in another punting situation, became confused by the Rams' defensive movement and once again failed to protect Jennings. The Giants recovered the loose ball, but Los Angeles became the first team to record 3 safeties in a single game. While the Ram defense was racking up two-pointers like the LA Lakers, the offense was scoring in a more conventional manner. Since the ground cannot cause a fumble, Henry Ellard's fine effort was ruled a completion and set up an easy touchdown pass from Jeff Kemp to David Hill. With a 33-12 win over the Giants, Los Angeles improved its record to 3-2. While the Rams' methods of scoring last Sunday might have been a bit irregular, the Bears' means were, as usual, quite predictable. Against the Cowboys, Walter Payton ran for 155 yards and 1 touchdown. However, while Payton continued to ascend to a level far above his competition, the Bears were slowly slipping downward towards the familiar hollows of mediocrity. Dallas dropped Chicago to 3-2 with a 23-14 win, which included this 68-yard touchdown by Tony Dorsett. Thanks to a 4-1 record, Dallas is once again in a familiar position, sole possession of first place in the NFC East. With new materials, Coach Tom Landry has once again tailored the Cowboys into a winner. Unlike the 2-2 New Orleans Saints, who are a team in desperate need of a little patchwork. For starters, New Orleans could use a blocking back, a few sizes larger than George Rogers, to help protect quarterback Richard Todd. However, while the Oilers were helping Todd wear out a hole in the seat of his new pants, the Saints defense had the frustrated Warren Moon inquiring about a jersey and a Canadian cut. Number 49, Frank Watlett's touchdown return helped prove that last year's defense is still a hot item. On the other hand, running back Hokie Gajan, number 46, is providing the Saints offense with a sleek new look in 84. While the Saints' 27-10 win boosted their record to 3-2, the sun has yet to shine in the Astrodome, where the 0-5 Oilers have been wallowing in the shadows of the very blue moon. Perhaps practical jokes were in order Sunday as Mike Pagel and his Colts loosened up for a battle against a leaking ship with an untested captain. The winless Bills, minus quarterback Joe Ferguson, seemed a sure bet to sink quickly in the Hoosier Dome. Free agent quarterback Joe Dufek filled in admirably, however, running for a score and tossing a touchdown to Preston Denard for a 17-10 third quarter lead. Then Indianapolis stopped joking, and Randy McMillan, number 32, started juking. McMillan rushed for 114 yards and a pair of second-half touchdowns as the cold ground game and an aroused defense led by safety Mark Kafentzis, number 29, did indeed sink the Bills, 31-17. For the fifth straight time this season, Buffalo slowly capsized out of sight towards Davy Jones' locker, and now they rest alone at the bottom of the AFC East. For Indianapolis, theirs was a happy locker room full of men that had won their first regular season game beneath their new dome. Mark Twain once wrote, "When you're mad, count to 4. When you're real mad, swear." Viking defensive coordinator Floyd Reese was pretty mad Sunday and politely requested his troops to kindly proceed onto the playing surface, line up with purpose, and deter the progress of the visiting Seahawks. Soon it became time for him to once again count to 4. A Dave Craig to Steve Largent touchdown pass helped Seattle to a 13-12 lead, and then Eric Lane, number 37, broke the game open with a 40-yard score with just over a minute remaining. Rumor has it that on his way by the Viking bench, he heard a man rather beside himself screaming from 1 to 10. Seahawks 20, Vikings 12. Straight and simple, football fans, this here is your basic moonwalking parrot. Why, you ask? Simple. Tampa Bay's mascot, that lonesome little Buccaneer fella, needed a parrot to sit on his shoulder. Every pirate has one. Unfortunately for Packer quarterback Lynn Dickey, he found himself with 250 pounds of Leroy Selman sitting on his shoulder. Tampa's big gun, however, was James Wilder, who shouldered the load by rushing for 172 yards on a record-tying 43 carries. Wilder's run made it 7-0 Bucks, but when guard Tim Huffman and tackle Carl Swanky planted their shoulders into a couple of Buck defenders, Jesse Clark tied it at 7. 7-all became 20-all until noseman David Logan, number 76, barreled into the end zone with his 4th career touchdown. A truly uncanny feat for a nose guard. Uncanny indeed would be the correct word to describe what happened with only 8 seconds left and the Bucks up by 7. James Lofton caught it, and Gary Ellis took it in, and the Packers had forced an overtime period, and this game fell squarely on the shoulders of an unlikely hero named Obed Ariri. "I didn't think about anything before the last kick," said Ariri, a Nigerian who played for Clemson. "I felt really good when I hit it, and I knew it was good." It certainly was, as the Bucks and their new moonwalking parrot were winners, 30-27. At one time, the job of a young NFL quarterback was to warm the bench and study his craft from the sidelines. But times are changing, And in just his second year, Patriot quarterback Tony Eason has been promoted from part-time backup to full-time starter. Last Sunday against the New York Jets, Eason made his second start since taking over for Steve Grogan. And he continued his on-the-job training by tossing the first of his 3 touchdown passes, this one to tight end Lynn Dawson, number 87. Dawson's score tied the game at 7-all in the first period as New England had trouble pulling away from New York. For under Pat Ryan, another former backup, now fully employed as a number 1 quarterback, the Jet offense has been soaring above all expectations. Ryan was on target 20 out of 31 times, throwing for 297 yards and 2 touchdowns. But these numbers paled against the shining performance of the young Patriot quarterback, who lit up the Meadowlands skies for 354 yards. This third quarter touchdown bomb to number 86, Stanley Morgan, was the difference as the Patriots downed the Jets 28-21. While Tony Eason was solidifying his new starting position, the Washington Redskins were up to some of their old tricks. A perfectly executed flea flicker from John Riggins to Joe Theismann to Art Monk was the only touchdown the Redskins needed as they blanked Philadelphia 20-0. While Washington was making easy work of the Eagles, Detroit's Billy Sims went about his chores against the San Diego Chargers like it was another routine day at the office. Although not ruled a touchdown, this 81-yard run was the longest of Sims' career, and it helped breathe air into the lifeless Lions, who had been trailing 24-7 at the half. Detroit cut that deficit down to 3 midway into the third quarter, when Lion quarterback Gary Danielson made a timely block on a reverse that gave wide receiver Jeff Chadwick clear sailing into the end zone. With less than 5 minutes remaining, Detroit was again on the Charger doorstep and appeared ready for another comeback win. But a blitzing Billy Ray Smith managed to get a grip on Danielson's jersey. Smith held on, as did San Diego, 27-24. After being blanked by the Broncos, the Kansas City Chiefs were hoping to get back into the business of scoring points. But for much of their game against Cleveland, their offense remained pinned to the ground. The Chiefs' only touchdown came in the fourth quarter when quarterback Todd Blackledge hit Billy Jackson, number 43, on a 9-yard touchdown pass. Surprisingly, this was all the scoring Kansas City needed, as their defense pounded Cleveland's immobile quarterback Paul McDonald for 11 sacks. For all his on-the-job education, McDonald continues to play like a man who still needs more schooling. Even when number 16 had the protection, his passes were hardly thrown in what you would call textbook fashion. In addition to their 11 sacks, the Chiefs intercepted McDonald 4 times as they edged Cleveland by a score of 10-6. As for Paul McDonald, well, he had better learn quickly what it takes to occupy a full-time job in the NFL. If he doesn't, he might soon be heading back to the sidelines, where he'll have to study his craft from the bench. Just 3 teams entered the season's 5th week with unblemished records: the Raiders, Dolphins, and the 49ers. Last Sunday, San Francisco went one-on-one with divisional rival Atlanta, who came in as the highest scoring team in the NFC. By the end of the day, they have lost that distinction. One too many tips tapped out the Falcons, as the 49ers defense turned in their second straight game without allowing a touchdown. After a week's absence, San Francisco quarterback Joe Montana was back with a flak jacket to help ease the soreness in his bruised ribs. With touchdown passes to tight end Russ Francis and to wide receiver Mike Wilson, Montana showed no ill effects from his brief layoff. Wilson's touchdown earned the 49ers a 14-3 lead with under 2 minutes to play before San Francisco elected to take a safety and ensure their 5th win of the year. But whoever said a safety was safe? Punter Max Runager lost the battle, but the 49ers won the war 14-5. Max Runager took the kind of punishment the LA Raiders like to dish out. And there's at least one Raider fan in the Mile High City who looks like he got run over by the world champions. In the first half against the Denver Broncos, the bone-crunching Raiders looked as if they would take another victim. Marcus Allen's 30-yard run set up the first touchdown of the game, a 19-yard scoring pass from Jim Plunkett to tight end Todd Christensen, number 46. The Raiders led 7-6 at intermission, but the second half belonged to linebacker Tom Jackson and the Denver defense. Jackson, number 57, keyed a Bronco defense that allowed the Raiders just 22 yards on the ground in the final 30 minutes of play. The Raiders' aura of invincibility was shattered. After Gerald Wilhite scored the deciding touchdown, the Broncos added a final lick for good measure, as Los Angeles lost their first of the year, 16-13. The St. Louis Cardinals were not so fortunate in their effort to untrack the undefeated Miami Dolphins. The Cardinals fell behind early and struggled to catch up behind quarterback Neil Lomax, who passed for over 300 yards. That included a 22-yard touchdown pass to tight end Doug Marsh, number 80. Subbing for O.J. Anderson, Stump Mitchell ran for over 100 yards, and Earl Farrell, number 31, scored his first touchdown of the year. But it was tough to play catch-up once the Dolphins got a leg up behind the arm of quarterback Dan Marino. Marino threw for a club record 429 yards, but it was slippery receivers like Mark Duper, number 85, who helped him set that record with plenty of yardage after the catch. Duper and Mark Clayton, number 83, combined for over 300 receiving yards, while Tony Nathan, number 22, caught Dan Marino's 15th touchdown pass of the season to clinch the 36-28 Miami win. And now there are two. Only the Dolphins and the 49ers remain undefeated. 5 down, 11 to go.